we have made it to episode 10, finally in the double digits, our first milestone, and we're in the
I mean,
double
should
digits.
I mean with our other mini episode? I mean, this is technically episode 11, so maybe should we like because now we're gonna be like one off from Geats when we do this.
You're right. I was gonna say we reached it without without even being on our main series, but
Yeah,
that's life. This is our weekly one since there was no Geats this week. It is sports that have betrayed us. Uh,
yes, that relay race.
yeah, yeah. Real unfortunate. Today we're gonna talk about like the first half of Kamen Rider Black Sun, but because that show is not very light on brevity or not very light at all, we're gonna start off with our usual me catching up to Don Brothers, and we're gonna do that first just to not interject that in the middle of like what will be a
Talk,
harrowing conversation.
talk about interjecting things. I mean, we're already deep into this conversation, and we haven't even reintroduced ourselves
No,
at the
I
beginning.
think I think it's good. You know, we've never truly figured out how to start the show. Maybe we never truly will. Uh,
No, you know, cold open.
Cold
Let's go,
open.
let's
You're
go.
right. We'll introduce ourselves at the end when we say goodbye. If you're here, I'm assuming for this one episode that you know who we are, and if you don't, honestly, thank you for being here. I appreciate the gumption. Uh, so Dawn Brothers, I have watched up to episode 21 today. So I'm
Ooh,
only 9 episodes or so from the 30, and then so I think I'm only like what 13 episodes off from being completely caught up. And
yeah.
so the main episodes that I watched were basically the one where they all try to hit Taro, uh, which had a very cute ending. Uh, and then the other two memorable ones that were both from today where we get to meet the old blue Don brother, and also Haruka gets kidnapped. And then
I
also
yes.
the episode before the like raging dragon fires. uh,
Oh
Man,
man.
they've been they've been setting up. I forget. Is Momotari Jiro
Mhm.
for their Six Ranger? They've been setting up his like little dual personality thing for a little bit. So I think it's
Yeah.
cool. Especially because they've been setting him up with like the original like ranger, like the original six rangers, so like the dragon and the tiger with the green and white ranger version specifically.
Yeah, it's so
So
cool.
that's pretty nice.
Yeah. Jiro is fun. Like I wouldn't say he's my favorite extra ranger, but he is very very interesting because I really like enjoy how it's kind of funny how like no one likes him at all. Like like people don't like him like kind of like how they don't really like Saru brother.
Okay, but I don't know. I think I like Saru brother more than I like Jiro.
Oh no,
Saru,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
yeah,
It's like it's like he's the friend that invites himself over. That's what Jiro is, and that's the best way to explain him.
he really is. I do find it very funny. Like, aesthetically, first of all, one of the cool things about like transformation, Sentai transformation heroes is that like their transformations can be like an insight into like how they're feeling, and so having like his like dual personalities basically have a different version of the same transformation is very cool. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's
From
just
Spear to Axe as well too.
yes,
Yeah,
spear to axe, very good. Aesthetically very cool.
yeah.
Oh
Especially
my
with
god.
yeah, especially with Tiger versus Dragon, and Tiger versus Dragon is a very very big thing in Chinese and I think also Japanese mythology.
Yes, it's basically like because like the tiger is also seen as like a very mythical like legendary beast.
Hmm.
It's something I've read a couple like different like martial arts like Chinese novels, and it's always like it's always when it's like two masters, it's always like it's like seeing a dragon and a tiger fight. It's a like well
Yeah.
known ish like proverb kind of thing. So it's
Hmm. Yeah, because it's like it's basically the clash of heaven and earth. I believe that's what it is. The dragon represents heaven, and the tiger
Tiger's Earth.
represents earth.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, they even do this. They even do it for like like the Yakuza games. You know how Kiryu has the dragon on his back, and Akiyama, I believe. No. Akiyama had the koi fish, I believe. I remember like there was someone that did have the tiger on his back, and that's who fought him.
That's
Yeah.
that's pretty sick. The Yakuza games are games that have been like on my radar, but I've just never gotten around to playing. One of the drives of even trying content creation and trying VTubing is like, if this eventually was successful enough, I could actually play games because I feel like I'm too busy to do that all the time. But if it was my job, then it'd be different. But
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many fun things I want to play, but yeah, Jiro, the Heaven and Earth stuff with his tiger and dragon, very cool. His form change. But speaking about very cool, oh my god, Don Muramasa. Oh, dude, that guy's sick. He's like purple shark.
Yeah,
It's a
which is really funny because his name is Murasame, and
no,
Same means
Murasame.
shark.
Oh, that is right. See,
Yeah, yeah, Same means shark.
I was wondering about that because I keep saying it like Muramasa because I think of a sword.
Yeah, but I mean, like they are two different. I think it was two different bladesmiths. There was one named Murasame and one named Muramasa. So
Yeah.
I need to recatch up on a lot of my like historical lore.
Yeah, and to be fair, like even if there wasn't a Murasame, like the Muramasa is it's obviously like a shark pun based on the sword. Uh, but yeah, Don Brothers been fun. Haruka got kidnapped again and forced to draw manga, and she was like kind of into it.
Oh man, every single like both times like this has happened, I think, right?
Yeah, because she got
Like
kidnapped
she
by the dog ranger. I forget his name. Inohara?
uh,
No,
Inuzuka.
Inazuka. That's it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that episode
Yeah.
because at first I thought it was like just the villain like kidnapping
No.
her, but she's like, I could write a good manga about this, and then
Yeah.
again when she gets kidnapped again, except this time with Sonoza, I think it
Yeah,
was, right.
yeah, it's with Son of a. It's very funny. Like she's trying so hard to like write a manga because he's like a fan, and she's like, my manga hasn't even moved. And I have the preview for the next episode. It's going to be the one called like something like Manga Road. So I love the episodes that like center her manga because they're always really really funny. Because she's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, she's ridiculous.
She's
It's really
insane.
funny because
And I love her.
yeah,
I love her little gimmick of like her thinking it's like, because it turned out that actually I'm a genius. Wink. Very very funny.
it's so funny. We love to joke around about how insane all of the Don Bros are, and like how Haruka is supposed to be the the main perspective character, but she is insane in that sense. She's like, I could come up with a manga for this, and like we all like she thinks she's the most normal person, and then we have completely out of nowhere freaking Saru brother who is like he eats through imagination and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
he's like a weird bum who like owns a house but like never has any money and like,
yeah, it's weird. Like he is weird. He is not normal. And then what is it? Then we have Kijibro
yeah.
who is way too into his wife, like really creepily. Like
Yeah.
you saw the episode, he let someone die.
I mean, it's
from
not
being
even
sick.
it's not even he let, like that's almost like he caused it.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's
Like
the only one who's turned into a monster because of his wife as well. But like,
yeah.
oh, and the fact that his wife is like, I have no idea if they've revealed like what if she's like specifically a bestial or what, but like something's going on with her, and the fact that she's also, Hara's wife is like, oh man, that's
Yeah,
they really.
it's
I love how they keep trying to like tease you that like they're gonna meet up and like talk about it, but they like never do. They always basically like fly like skirt by like as tinily as possible.
Yeah, it's so funny how they do that as well too. And then Momotaro exists.
Mama's just
So
he's
yeah,
he's the biggest
he's
weirdo.
absolutely insane. And yet somehow the guy who is on the run eats dog food, and whose girlfriend got kidnapped by the Beast Seals is the most normal person out of the Don Bros.
Yeah, they're all just weirdos, you know.
Yeah, like
Which
yeah,
is why I think,
Inuzuka
which is
is the
why I
most
think,
normal.
which is why I think Jiro's the way he is as well, because like he had to be a weirdo to fit in with these guys.
And they still don't like him. Like
He's
he wasn't even liked in his own hometown, which is the funniest part about
bro.
saying
That
all this.
okay, dude. I'm gonna be real. Every time they show that, I feel kind of bad.
Yeah, it's kind
the
of
the girlfriend episode where she ends up just not going because it seemed too bothersome. Oof.
it's so bad.
Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah, they're Don Bros, man.
yeah,
Just Don Bros.
the meat of this episode, Black Sun, which wow, if Don Bros is like a shining bright bastion of fun, Black Sun is like the opposite. This show is depressing.
Yeah,
Uh,
so anyone that's listening, yeah, just know that it may get a little bit uncomfortable because
this show
they
is uncomfortable. This show is graphic. We're going to be
Mhm.
talking about the first 5 episodes, which while we're not going to be doing like our kind of general synopsis thing because it's a lot to talk about, we just be doing that the whole time. We are going to go into details about whatever we want to talk about, and so there will be there will be spoilers if you haven't seen Black Sun 1 through 5. Uh, whew.
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, just know, yeah, yeah, you just need to remember that this what's it called? The show is very like goes into like a criticism of Japanese politics. So be like you have to be really aware of that, and it gets
Yeah. Yep.
really uncomfortable at
Yep.
times.
And also like it goes like some of the common writers I feel like that I've watched have also uh, criticized Japanese government, but it's always been kind of like, oh, it's a little bit of subtext here or there, with
Mhm.
especially because the main common writer shows are also marketed as kid shows, so they're not gonna just fully be like, showing all the terrible things government does. But this show does not shy away from like, oh man, does not shy away from anything.
Yeah, there's that one meme there's that one meme from like what is it, like an old mockumentary that says, I know writers that use subtext and they're cowards. That is basically Kamen Rider Black Sun. It is.
Yeah, it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's fun. There is subtext. It's just that the text is screaming at you before any of that comes
yeah,
along.
yeah. Like one of the big things about it is like like a lot of what I'm personally going to be saying is a lot of stuff I've also like seen on Twitter. um but like a lot of the anti-kaijin like slogans and all that stuff is actually what some really like imperialist Japanese like people there will actually say like about other races.
Oh yeah.
Really it's
Just
really rough.
just getting into it. I guess the little bit of synopsis we'll do is that kaijins exist. They're basically people who can morph into like animal forms, uh, and basically, it's really bad for them in Japan. There's literally like racists, parading the streets saying that they should get out. The government, is trying to saying that they're going to offer equal treatment, but it's a very in the kind of in the U.S. as phrasing, it's a very separate but equal, kind of way right now.
Yeah,
Still,
it's
still
yeah,
reeling
it's
after the quote unquote, granting of rights for them.
mhm. Yeah, and it's like it's also like really crazy too because like our main right like it's there's not really an like a clear cut good person like the main character is yeah, the main character is just a 14-year-old girl that's, being the that's like being the spokesperson for kaijin rights. And like,
Yep.
yeah, it's really rough. And yet our main writer is basically living in a trailer and shooting up ketamine and stuff like that
To
too.
make
It's
sure that
like,
he can keep moving, because his like bones and stuff are he's been around the block, and so he's sustained a bunch of injuries, and oh man, the
yeah,
first
it's
yeah.
it's rough.
Yep, yep. The first couple things we see, starting with her doing her activist work, you meeting some of her friends and family, her specifically, like the reason why she's important is because she's like a human advocate for kaijins that is like mainstream. Seeing, oh my god, dude, I get some of the most uncomfortable parts have not been the gore and have not been the like some of the like the violence, some of the dark stuff, but like seeing those dudes who parade around in the like basically like racist parade, and they're and like then go and basically get out of Japan, get out of my country, and seeing how like fervent those like people look, that is like made me like, I don't know, that's been what's made me like really uncomfortable, because that's like
Mm.
real. Those guys, those
Yeah,
like the
and
Japanese nationalists, like oof.
yeah, it's and that like they've it's just crazy how it's literally just text, because that's pretty much pulled straight out of the headlines.
Yeah, it's pulled
And
straight out of the headlines.
yeah, and the crazy part too is that, like, I know some people have said that, it does drag a bit whenever they go into the past, but like, seeing the build up as to how things came to be with like a lot of the flashbacks is really intense.
I actually really like the flashbacks, because I think it's really interesting seeing, we see the present day, and we kind of see how factions have already lined up in the present after everything's gone down, and to go
Mm,
back and see the past and see people kind of like in different factions doing different things, teaming up with different people, and you just having that like, oh, this is about to go bad because these people are not on the same side right now, like in the present.
yeah.
So I personally have really liked it. uh I am someone who kind of likes the slow burn with some of my stories, so like
Mm,
I've been really digging the flashback stuff.
hmm.
But I can understand why for some people that would drag, especially because like it's the background stuff really is just like a lot of politics.
Hmm. Yeah, and like it's like I'll admit, like, I haven't finished the entire series myself. I'm still only on episode 8, but I have to watch this series like kind of slowly, because one thing we should talk about is how just dense the episodes are. It's like I'm so used to, like, Kamen Rider being like, snappy, like,
uh,
everything just moves,
and not only
everything just
that,
moves.
when Kamen Rider episodes are like dense, they're dense in subtext, they're dense in a lot of things, but they're still like fast. When this is dense,
Hmm.
sometimes it decides to really take its time, and you're like, oh man,
Yeah,
you're just sitting there, and it's like it's one of those things where like you're sitting there and you already kind of have an idea of what's about to happen, and you're just so uncomfortable about it.
yeah, like I guess a good way to put it is that it's like anxiety. Like, it's like,
Yes.
something bad's gonna happen, but you don't know how it's going to happen. It's not if, it's not an if, it's gonna be a
Yeah.
when it's gonna happen and how it's gonna happen. You're just like,
Yep.
it's like it's like you're just watching this like, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, and
Yep.
then
Yep. Yep. And especially like I don't know, some of the things that have been like that have been also like that for me is like seeing Aoi, who like doesn't know, uh doesn't seem to like fear danger, even though there are like some pretty dangerous people after her. Sometimes that in itself gives me anxiety, like when they walk back into her house and her little kaijin friend is like, someone strong is here, we need to get out of here, because he could
mhm.
like sense it, and she's like, oh, what are you talking about, we just need to walk in. And it's like, bro, listen to your friend. You gotta get out of there. And then
Yeah.
like, oh my god, the scene with her and her like dead like foster mom, and then like
Mhm.
them almost killing Shinsuke. I was like, damn, even the kids aren't safe.
Yeah, and like
Oh,
no one is
that,
safe in the series.
that
Like,
one, that one. Seeing his head
yeah,
like get squeezed, I was like, oh.
yeah. Oh man, and it's like you also see that there's like a plant kaijin as well too. Is not just animals. They're just human hybrids of stuff, and it's like
Yeah, I think it's
oh my
basically
god.
human X living being, as far as I know.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, and it's really uncomfortable. And then like the I forgot. Did you get to the reveal of what heaven is?
yes,
Okay.
that's relatively early on, but there's this guy. He's called the Creation King. He's like a big bug kaijin, and he makes an
Hmm.
extract, and basically they mix that with human people, and
Yeah, and the messed up thing is that from what I heard, the previous prime minister of Japan actually did like actually was against all those people that were being put into this human blender essentially.
yeah, yeah.
And
I mean,
it's
look,
wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. One of the big points is that it's basically like people like old people who are no longer contributing to society, basically gay people because they can't reproduce, and also poor people who are again not contributing to society are basically being like stolen off the streets and being put into a prison, and they're basically either being blended into heat heaven, or the worst part about the kaijin thing is that they're basically being experimented on, and it's people being made into these creatures basically, for
Mhm.
like military weapons, and also more recently to be like sold basically as slaves. Uh, and it's like, oh man,
Yeah, it's yeah, it's yeah,
it's insane.
like we said at the beginning of this part of the discussion, that meme of I know writers that use subtext and they are all cowards.
Yeah, no, he's just
It's
being like, hey, if you are marginalized, the government will feed you to people, and it's like, you know, you're not entirely wrong. I know there's lots of complaints even now, that the Japanese government is not only not very inclusive, but often hostile to things
mhm.
that don't conform to how they want things. It's why, like, in my opinion, the
Yeah.
most uncomfortable I was ever with Gaim as a show, going to my first thing, is just the fact that, like, whenever he starts making money with the writer games, his sister basically tells him, "Oh, work only matters if you suffered, and it's only work because if you're doing something you don't want to do." And like knowing kind of how bad the work culture in Japan is, hearing that
Yeah.
in a show that is aimed at children, I was like, that gave me like chills, because it's like, oh no, oh god,
Yup. Yeah,
oh
like
god,
yeah, and it's kind of funny too because like I'd probably say like where I'm at, like a little bit of a spoiler, but of like where I'm at, I will say the framing, the unfortunate part of Black Sun is that because of how it's framed as a tokusatsu show as well too, some like a lot of the tokusatsu stuff kind of starts to overshadow like the message, and it gets really weird. Like it kind of dilutes what it's trying to say, which is eh.
I mean, I can understand that. It's also like I said, they wanted to use this way for telling the story, which can obviously will have drawbacks, and also
Mhm.
what's it called? It'll also have good points to it. Like, oh man, just the fact that, just first of all, some of the fights I think have been really cool. Very much like more down to earth. No like big rider kicks that just blow up the enemy, but like
Mhm.
they've been brutal, and even just like some of the fights where they just like fight as like dudes before transforming, and they just look like very real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't look like
Yeah.
a fake fight. You watch like anime boxing, and then you watch like a real boxing match, and you're like, this looks kind of lame. I mean, like, it's got that like reality of like, yeah, this is just two people like beating the shit out of each other, and
Yeah.
yep. And then finding out that like heat, basically keeps kaijins young and fresh and strong.
hmm Yeah, it's just crazy with all that stuff. And actually, yeah, you know what? I think we've kind of like gone over like what we can for the first of 5 episodes, but okay, so we've talked about basically the setting, we've talked about the message, but yeah, like as a show itself, like as a tokusatsu show itself, it has really really good special effects for a lot of some stuff, for a lot of
Yeah,
things.
yeah. I mean, some of
Like,
the suits still look a little bit silly when they're moving around, but like some
mm,
of the fighting scene
but
and like the
yeah.
cinematography for a lot of stuff has been like
mm.
chef's kiss.
And like the practical effects is
Yeah. Oh
insane.
my god. And like not only that, but like every time they do the transformation, like just like the base kaiju transformation, it looks really really sick. He finally does like his first like henshin into the rider suit in episode
hmm
5, and that also like is awesome. But the fact that like, oh yeah, he gets a little sword. How does he get it? He like rips off his wing off of his back, and like you
Yeah,
just like feel it because it's like it feels like super visceral, and you're like, oh god.
yeah, and of course, we like it being a tokusatsu show, it's also a toy show, and oh man, that $350 driver.
Yeah, the belt. Oh, the belt is super super nice. It looks awesome. The fact that I think it moves with like motion sensors, so you can
Mhm.
just do the motion. Like that's so nice. That's so nice. It looks awesome. I'm sure they're gonna do a Shadow Moon version of it too. If I don't know if they've said.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I've at least seen the Shadow Moon stuff, and yeah, you're about to get to it, and it's
Uh,
it's it's great. It's great. I love it.
you
Oh man,
and
yeah.
the flashback stuff, the stuff that's gotten me so far as the 5 episodes is that like one of the main people like wants to destroy the Creation King because without him, they can't make any more kaijin. And
Yeah,
on one
they can't
hand,
they
they're like,
they
is
can't make
this?
more people to suffer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, is this the end of our species? But at the same time, it's like, even if you're called kaijin, like that doesn't change the fact that like you were human, you were made into something else, and like the more people are made into kaijin, like the more they have to suffer. Like you said, like they have to fight. They're being sold. They're being, uh, uh, you know, given out to the government. They're second class citizens, and like now the only thing that has me wondering then is like if kaijins were made, so like, but it seems like they can still like reproduce and have like kaijin offspring.
hmm
Because is his name like Shunsuke? I think was his name.
Yeah.
Her Aoi's friend, childhood friend, who is like a little bird sparrow.
hmm
I think specifically, he's the son of a kaijin, and so he just comes out of kaijin. But like, so I guess like there's no like, it's not gonna stop kaijin, but at the very least, it won't like keep making more. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
It's
it's rough.
it's yeah. It's rough. It's hard, and I can't wait to talk about this more another time.
Yes, we said we were gonna make this a mini episode, but we're basically coming up to the 30-minute mark anyway. We will be back to talking about Geats next week. I'm not going to rush in finishing this because I'm like savoring the episodes because again
Yeah.
they're dark, but like
Yeah,
I'm enjoying them.
I mean, depending on when we want to talk about it, we could talk about it like with the Geeks episode, or I think the next break is going to be the Christmas/New Year's break. So there's going to be a chance very soon, like within the next couple of months, for us to talk about the second half. But
Yeah,
we'll
so
see. But I mean, if we want to stay, yeah, if we want to talk about it sooner, like just yeah,
yeah,
we
or
we'll
or,
talk about
or,
it
or
sooner at
we'll
some
even
point.
we'll even schedule like another like Thursday recording just to like have it and put it out or something if we have
Yeah.
the free time because
hmm
once we're both done, I'm sure we're both gonna want to talk about it. It is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Regardless, I'm enjoying it. It is
hmm
deeply uncomfortable, but also like good. I'm
Yeah.
very much enjoying it.
But yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to us talk about this. Honestly, almost debilitating show.
Yeah, basically.
It's
It feels like you get a mental IRL debuff just by
yeah,
watching it
yeah, yeah.
because
And,
it's
and I'll say,
heavy.
and I'll say, one of the things that like is my biggest complaint on some of like the, I'll say more like the Marvel and like the happier movies is that they're shot, and sometimes it's like this is supposed to be like a bright, happy superhero shot, and it's like, bro, the color grading is so dark, everything's so like dreary, but like
Hmm.
this was dreary, but like in a good way. Like, yeah, everything is supposed to suck you.
Yeah, not
Uh,
just.
but yeah, it works really well. This has been me, Sleepy Witch, joined as always by my partner in crime.
DJ Zer, the 2.5D Hirotaga
Thank you so much for listening to us rant as always, and we will see you next week.
Later.
Later.